making a difference for Indiana. This is WRTV 6 News at 11 with Greg Todd. Weather with meteorologist David James and Ed Sorensen, Sportnuts.
Good evening. Greg is off tonight. I'm Phil Bremen. A big day for fans of the Pacers and the Indianapolis 500, and at the track it was a hot day, making it difficult for drivers to achieve greater speed. More on that in just a moment. First, to the Pacers. The team is making plans for Madison Square Garden tonight after the New York Knicks knocked off the Chicago Bulls. The Knicks ousted the three-time defending NBA champs 87-77 today in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. That means the Pacers take on the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. The action starts Tuesday night at 7 Indianapolis time. The two teams will face off again at the same time Thursday in New York. Then Saturday, and a week from tomorrow, the showdown shifts to Market Square Arena. Both games here begin at 2:30 in the afternoon. It may not be as easy to watch in person at Madison Square Garden, though, as it was when the Pacers played in Atlanta. American Transair officials were able to send 3 planes filled with 1,000 fans to the Atlanta game. American Transair executive Mary Moses Cochran says her airline is looking into special flights to New York, but she adds that it may be difficult getting tickets to the games. Cochran says she hopes to have some answers for fans by tomorrow. Now to the final day of qualifications. Ed Sorensen is here to tell us who made it and who lost out. And the heat didn't help, right, Ed?
Oh, David James, not a popular man with a lot of the non-qualified teams as of tonight. Good evening, everybody. We'll have a lot more on the Pacers. I still can't believe it. This is going to be so great going to New York tomorrow to cover the Eastern Finals. A lot more on that coming up later on in Sportsnuts, plus a lot more on the final day of qualifications, day 4. But right now, let's give you a look at the one guy who managed to make it into the field today. Scott Goodyear, of course, started today on the bubble at 2:20.7. And this man here, a rookie, one of 9 rookies to make the final lineup for the race, Marco Greco of Arciero Project Indy, a Dick Simon entry. 4-lap average of 2:21.216 to get into the field. Mark Smith tried to get into the field a little bit later on, but tagged the wall in turn 1. There was a delay in the last 10 minutes of the qualifying session. Gary Bettenhausen got out, waved off after 2 laps of about 2:18. Willie T. Ribbs waved off after a couple of laps at 2:16. So, row 10 on race day. We'll look at the last 2 rows here. Ray Hall, Davy Jones. Now, this could be interesting because, remember, the car is what gets qualified, not the driver. Budweiser King Racing also employs Scott Goodyear. He could take over that ride from Davy Jones, despite the fact Jones qualified it so brilliantly yesterday. At the outside of row 10, another rookie, Maurizio Gugelmin. And row 11, John Paul Jr., Mike Groff, and Marco Greco, one of 6 Dick Simon entries in the field. The average for the field, speed average, 223.2. That's up about 3.5 mph from a year ago, but not a record. Not a record. The record was set for field average in 92. A lot more on this, a lot more on the Pacers coming up a bit later on in Sportsnuts. Phil, back to you.
Okay, Ed, looking forward to it. State Excise Police, by the way, are keeping a different scorecard out at the Speedway, and there's some good news on that. Only 2 arrests for truancy so far this month. Excise Police credit an effort by area schools to stop the time-honored tradition of skipping school. That effort also headed by juvenile judge James Payne, encouraging kids not to go to the track during school hours. However, nearly 100 minors have been arrested there this month for alcohol-related offenses. As for illegal drugs, 5 juveniles have been arrested. Excise Police say overall the crowds have been a lot less surly this year. Officers say the Speedway's effort to credit more of a family atmosphere is paying off. It's not just the big cities anymore. Here in Indianapolis, AIDS is the leading cause of death among men between the ages of 25 and 44. Since the AIDS epidemic began, more than 1,500 Hoosiers have died of the disease. Tonight, several hundred people turned out to remember them as part of an annual worldwide memorial observance. Marilyn Carter was there.
People from South Bend to Evansville walked from the State House to the Circle in what is being called Remembrance Through Hope and Light. A coalition of groups, cultures, and denominations were represented in the candlelight vigil. Many have loved ones and friends who have died and want to add their voice to what they say is a continued need for support, understanding, and especially education.
Tonight, all the people, that's certainly a testimony to a variety of folks. You look around, old and young, little kids, people from all cultures. Yeah, I think we're getting better.
I really think it's important that we all get together and share our loss, sense of loss, and we come together as a community and try to support each other, all our diversity. And I think it's a real move toward acceptance.
The remembrance moved inside Christ Church Cathedral for prayer, inspiration, and song. It was a time of hope and reflection and remembrance. Love is what brought these people together today, and love is what they hope will bring even more next year and throughout the year. From downtown, Marilyn Carter, 6 News.
In Greenwood, a couple who have taken in a dozen children no one else wanted, soon could all be homeless. And as we hear now from Jim Parsons, the parents who have given so much now have so much to lose.
In a nice neighborhood, in a nice home, there is trouble tonight. Walter and Marianne Sparrow and their 12 adopted children have no idea what the future will bring. And the future, in all of its bleakness, arrives June 8th when they have to be out of this rented home in Greenwood.
All of our efforts at finding a home have been to no avail. There's just not that many people out there who want to rent to a family with 12 children.
And a family that has had no income for 15 months. They moved here 2 years ago from Virginia when Walter, an electronic engineer, landed a job with a California company setting up an office in Indianapolis. 7 weeks later, that company decided not to do business in Indiana, and Walter was out of a job. He has been ever since.
But it has a very negative image in the community. Not to be able to support your family in the way that they're accustomed. It brings a lot to bear.
A lot to bear, especially on a couple that began adopting unwanted children 14 years ago. They rescued these children from a trash heap in India, a life of begging in Bangladesh, and from abusive homes in the United States. And they did it when Walter was earning a 6-figure salary.
You have a tendency to set your priorities. A lot of people will look for the biggest house or the fanciest cars that they can afford. And our direction was different. We knew that there were children out there who needed help.
Where will the Sparrows go? With little money and no job prospects, Walter doesn't know. But he does know that somehow he will take care of his family. In Greenwood, Jim Parsons, 6 News.
Inside the Fifth Avenue apartment where Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis lived and died, a priest conducted a wake this evening. Senator Ted Kennedy and the late First Lady's daughter, Caroline Schlossberg, were among those attending. Outside, sympathetic New Yorkers and the curious filed by. The widow of President John F. Kennedy will be buried tomorrow at Arlington National Cemetery. Next to her husband, President and Mrs. Clinton will be among the mourners. Meteorologist Dave James has a forecast you'll like next on 6 News.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my neighbor. Hello to all of you. We'd like to make it clear we're glad to be right here. Hello, new faces. Hello, new places. Principal Healthcare's here. Baby, it's plain to see.
Principal Healthcare of Indiana, what healthcare is meant to be. Member, the Principal Financial Group.
Some people think that here at McQuick's Oil Lube, all we do is lube their car's chassis and drain and replace their old oil with quality Quaker State motor oil. That is part of what we do, but our full service includes a lot more, like seeing that your tires are properly inflated. Improper tire pressure can cause excessive wear, poor traction, and difficult handling. And be sure to ask about the Quaker State 250,000-mile 10-year guarantee. Quality products and fast, efficient service. You get it all at McQuick's. So before you have to fix it, McQuick's it.
When you think of cars, think of the only car dealer you need to know.
Tom Wood Toyota.
Ah, springtime. Time for a new Toyota. And time to take advantage of the terrific savings during Tom Wood's Spring Festival of Savings. Tercels with air, stereo cassette are sale priced at just $99.88. Corollas, sale priced $12,999. Stop by Tom Wood Toyota. Let's see what we can do for you.
What are Ronald McDonald and I doing at Busch Stadium?
We're practicing for a very important softball game.
Here's a chance to see your favorite IndyCar drivers and your favorite Hollywood celebrities all in the same place.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ed Sorensen. WRTV 6 and these fine sponsors invite you to the Indy All-Stars versus the Hollywood All-Stars, Friday, May 27th at Busch Stadium. Come for autographs at 2. The game's at 3:30.
The game benefits Indiana Special Olympics.
So come on out and have a good time for a great cause.
As you were sweltering out at the track or the Broad Ripple Art Fair or wherever you were today, and if you thought it felt more like August, well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, last time it was this hot, it was August last year. That's when it was up to 96 degrees, and it was close to 90 today, up to 89. The record's 93, so it was much closer to the record than it was close to the normal high temperature for this time in May. Outside right now, it's just barely dropping below the normal high temperature. It's clear and 72 degrees right now, a southwest wind at 5 miles per hour. Temperatures for today, 57 this morning, 89 for the high this afternoon. Of course, we haven't seen any rain for quite a while, but I think we'll see some on Tuesday and maybe Wednesday also. But temperatures, that was the thing around the country today. And as a matter of fact, find the state where the temperature didn't reach at least 80 degrees. We look up to New England, all the way up to Maine was in the 80s, down to Florida was in the 80s, up to North Dakota, Canadian border, International Falls was up to 80s. And as long as we include down here in the valleys in Washington and Oregon, every state in the lower 48 was up to 80 at least. Of course, Hawaii was up to 80. Alaska, the only place that wasn't up to 80 degrees, 50s and 60s up there. Now, I don't know if that's anything anybody keeps track of, but when I was drawing that map, that certainly stood out as an unusual occurrence. Now, not so unusual occurrence, some summertime thunderstorms coming up here in the midsection of the country, and those could bring us our next chance of rain during the day on Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday. High pressure area is still dominating our weather, kept us sunny today, and bring us at least one more sunny day here in central Indiana. Also during the day tomorrow with that high pressure area still kind of holding back the showers and thunder showers that are developing out there in the plain states. Tornado touchdown out of those thunderstorms up in North Dakota. Other reports of high winds and some hail. Hopefully it won't be that strong by the time it gets here, but it certainly could be. Now around the rest of the country, not much going on, and that should still be the case tomorrow with the high pressure area still dominating our weather, but that weather system starting to get closer and looks like it should move through Tuesday and Wednesday. So my forecast for tonight, it'll be clear skies and mild temperatures again. The overnight low just down to about 60 degrees. Well, then during the day tomorrow, it'll be sunny and warm once again. High temperature up to about 86 in the afternoon. We'll be feeling a little bit more humidity tomorrow. Then during the day on Tuesday, the clouds start to develop from that humidity and also a chance for some thunderstorms later in the day during the day on Tuesday and up to about 82. Then the extended outlook for Wednesday, which will be Howard Caldwell Day here in central Indiana, in Indianapolis anyway. Some rain moving through, but that's good for Howard's Garden. And then on Carburetion Day, the sunshine returns and temperatures in the 60s. Should be a good last day of practice there.
I think Howard's planning on spending a lot of time in that garden pretty soon.
I think so.
Okay, let's go over and find out what Ed has on his mind tonight. Edward?
What's the big fuss over Howard Caldwell? What's happening?
He's been here a while.
He's retiring?
That's what we hear.
Oh, I thought that was just a joke.
Oh. You've been gone a while,
yeah,
huh?
I have to say something to him about that. Howard's been pretty big shot around here. Anyway, good evening, folks. Welcome to Sportsnuts. We've got a lot of stuff coming at you on a huge night once again this Sunday in Indianapolis sports. First of all, we'll show you how the New York Knicks advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they now have to take on the toughest team in the NBA. You know them, you love them, the Indiana Pacers. Oh, Greg Anthony, what a hot dog. Come on. You're only prolonging the inevitable. Mike Dunleavy and the Milwaukee Bucks win the big dog sweepstakes. We will wrap up the final day of quals. It was a wild one. The last 15 minutes or so at the Speedway. And we will set the 33-car field. And, of course, lots of baseball highlights to show you from Sunday action. And A.J. Foyt sits down and goes one-on-one with our Scott Hope. Plenty of nuts in this Sportscast. We'll be right back.
Over 100 fully loaded luxury custom vans in stock at Tomwood Ford 96th and Keystone, and they're all on sale.
You won't find a better selection or a better price. How about this fully loaded custom van for only $18,995? And it's not a stripped down model. This van has everything you could want. Front and rear air conditioning, color TV. It's even pre-wired for a video player.
It's a fantastic van sale. Custom luxury vans from $18,995. Hurry to Tomwood Ford 96th and Keystone.
Ford F-150, America's best-selling truck for 17 straight years. It's one tough truck. Drive an F-150 for just $223 a month. Just $223 a month. Out of the ball. That's America's best-selling full-size truck with standard driver's airbag, welded, bolted, double-walled cargo bed. Just $223 a month for 24 months. No wonder Ford F-150's the #1 truck value. And your Indiana Ford dealer's the one.
Time for things that make you go, Sponsored by McDonald's.
Everyone has heard the term black hole, but do you know what one really is? The answer when we come back.
McDonald's takes you back to bedrock.
Fellow lodge members, introducing one that is truly unique, one of extraordinary appeal, the Grand Poobah Supersized Meal at McDonald's.
A juicy McRib sandwich smothered in tangy sauce with supersized fries and a large Coke.
Last one of McDonald's is a fossil! Grand Poobah meals for everyone!
Order!
You're such Neanderthals.
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
A black hole is really a giant star that has collapsed in on itself after it has run out of energy. Now the dead star has become a giant vacuum, pulling in everything that comes near it. It's also invisible. That's why they call it a black hole.
To see more things that make you go, visit the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. Together, we're making a difference in education.
Sorensen.
Good evening again, Sports Nuts everywhere. Welcome to the show that we named just for you, Sports Nuts. What a fabulous week this has been. The Indiana Pacers heading into the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. The field being filled for the 78th running of the greatest spectacle in racing. It's a mind-boggling week of sporting activity here in Central Indiana. First thing we want to do is show you the team that the Pacers will be playing Tuesday night in the first game of the best-of-7 Eastern Conference Finals. I'm jumping on a plane tomorrow to go to Madison Square Garden in New York and cover it for you. Sorry, Phil Jackson, but you won't be along for the ride because the Bulls' 3-year run, the reign as NBA champions, is over. Pete Myers with the slam on the dish from Scott Pippen. Herb Williams, remember him, the Charles Smith, the slam and the foul. Can't wait to see what Herb Williams thinks of the Pacers being in the finals. Pat Riley. At halftime, his Knicks led 38-37 despite no points combined from Ewing and 1 from Starks. 1 point from those two. Pippen the 3. Bulls lead early in the third period. John Starks the 3. Knicks now lead it 51-49. Trash-talking man had 10 points. Scramble for the board here. Ewing gets it and throws it down. Ewing had no points again at halftime. He finished with 18 points and 17 rebounds. Here, Myers strips Starks from behind. Pippen runs the break and finishes with the slam. He had 20 points and 16 boards, but Pippen was nowhere to be found. Had 1 basket in the fourth quarter, and that was after the issue had been decided. Then Oakley, who had a huge game. They give and go with Ewing. Oakley, the slam, he had 17 points and 20 rebounds. Myers here is fouled, loses the ball, but taps it into the hoop. He had 15 points. Greg Anthony, watch him here. The 3 at the end of the third quarter. He's falling in to Phil Jackson. Of course, there is no love lost between these teams, and Anthony has to do the hot dog trash-talking thing to the opposing coach. Through 3, Knicks led it by 4, 67-63. Pippen to Grant, the slam. Maybe Horace's last game with the Bulls. He's been dissatisfied there. He had 17. That brought the Knicks within, the Bulls rather, within 2. After that, all Knicks. Ewing, Mason, layup. Ewing banks in a 3. At that point, you can pretty much assume you're going to win if you're banking in 3s. 80-70, Knicks led there by 10. They win it by that margin, 87-77. Again, the line for Ewing, no points in halftime, 18 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 assists. Patrick and the Knicks next up for your Indiana Pacers. Let's hear some of the post-mortem from Game 7 in this one.
I had to sit on the bench for a while, and I got kind of cold and stiff. And I came back in, and the other guys was in the flow, so they, I think only took like 3 shots. But and also every time I touched the ball, they were double and triple teaming me. So I was just trying to hit the open man. In the second half, they started to wait a little bit, and I was able to make my move.
That's what's allowed us to be successful all year. You can't win with just 5 guys in this league. You know, you got to have depth to continue to aspire and get to the next level, and I think it paid big dividends today for us.
It's tough. It's tough being on this side of the fence. It was a lot of pain for a lot of us inside the locker room tonight, and you know, it's something that we haven't experienced for a while. You know, when the expectations start to get greater for you, and then you know you want to do so much, and today was just one of those days.
At this moment, do you feel you played your last game for the Bulls? Well, I don't want to think about that. You know, right now it's just it hurts me. You know, being a part of a championship for 3 years and to give it up like that.
I just still think it's amazing they got as far as they did without Michael Jordan. I just think it was an incredible effort by Phil Jackson, his coaching staff, and that entire team this year. Now, here are the dates and the places of the Best of 7 Eastern Conference Finals, the Pacers and the New York Knicks. Tuesday, Game 1, Madison Square Garden at 7 o'clock our time. We will be going there tomorrow, and we will be live with our sports beginning tomorrow at 5, 6, 10, and 11. And every day that the Pacers are in New York, we'll be there with them. Game 2 Thursday, Carb Day. Not a busy day at all, huh? Also in New York, then Games 3 and 4 of the Madhouse on Market Street, Saturday at 2:30, and it would be sacrilegious to hold a game on Sunday, wouldn't it, on race day? Anyway, they're going to hold it Monday, also at 2:30, so you can put those two in the Pacers Park right now. I'm convinced they're not going to lose another home game as long as they're in the playoffs. Then, after the first 4 games, if more games are necessary, if the Pacers don't sweep this thing, they will go back to New York for an 8 o'clock game a week from Wednesday, Friday back here if a Game 6 is necessary, and then if it goes to a 7th game, as the Bulls-Knicks series did, it would be played a week from Sunday at the Garden at 6 o'clock. I am really looking forward to this one. What a showdown. The Knicks and the Pacers. The Knicks beat them last year, of course, knocked them out of the playoffs, but the Pacers have improved a lot more than the Knicks have in the last year. Very different team than the one the Knicks knocked out last year. The other big news in the NBA today had to do with the lottery, the annual deal where they try to create parity. They try to get the best draft rights to the best college talent to the weakest teams. The final 2 teams that had a shot in the Glenn Robinson sweepstakes, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that the big dog, G-Money, is going to be the top pick in the June 29th draft, to be held, by the way, at the Hoosier Dome. Last 2 teams with a shot, the Milwaukee Bucks and the woeful Dallas Mavericks. And here's NBA Commissioner David Stern with the call that these fans and these people in these cities are going to remember for years to come.
The first pick in the 1994 NBA draft goes to the Milwaukee Bucks. Come on up, Mike.
And there's the head coach of the Bucks, Mike Dunleavy. He has got to be like a little kid on Christmas. You got to figure they're going to take Glenn, but Dunleavy hedged a bit.
I need to go back and talk with my owner and see, where we stand, and there's possibilities of doing anything with the pick, but I like Glenn Robinson a lot.
I don't think that surprises anybody. I think Glenn Robinson will be the top pick, and the Milwaukee Bucks just got themselves one of the great college players of the last decade. Now, the Western Conference Series, by the way, is going to be Utah-Houston. That opens Monday in Houston, and here are the rest of the lottery and how that thing shook out. Milwaukee with the top pick, then Dallas, Detroit, Minnesota, the Bullets, the 76ers, the LA Clippers, and those were the top 7 teams. And the order of the picks they got, and I just don't see any way that Milwaukee is not going to pick Glenn Robinson and sign the big dog. Okay, we'll take a quick break here. When we come back, we will wrap up Qual Day 4, the last day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway until Carb Day and the race next Sunday. Be right back with more on Sportsnuts.
The news is sponsored in part by Dodge.
When we say Dodge Neon is around 12.5 nicely loaded, just what does nicely loaded mean? Well, how about things like an automatic, air, power steering, power locks, power remote mirrors, rear window defroster, standard driver and front passenger airbags, and much more. Dodge Neon. For around 12.5, you can do quite nicely. Say hello to Dodge Neon at your friendly Dodge dealer today.
Nothing you could say could tear me away from my stay.
Michigan can be your state, too. Chat with our friendly vacation advisors at 1-800-5432-YES for ideas that fit your vacation needs.
There's a million reasons to spend the summer season in my state.
It's sure to be a hit.
Meet Tino. He's the real Italian behind Fazoli's Real Italian. He's outdone himself with two delicious new dishes. Peppery chicken Alfredo and fettuccine primavera with tomato cream sauce. Fortunately, Tino's now on vacation in Venice, so he has no idea we're practically giving away his masterpieces for less than $4.
Fazoli's Real Italian, real fast.
Raceco and Oldsmobile GMC truck is having a vacation celebration sale. With the purchase or lease of a new Racecoman custom truck, you will receive a 4-day deluxe vacation. Choose from Orlando, Las Vegas, Hilton Head, or Branson. During this vacation sale, shop from the state's largest inventory of quality custom trucks from Southern Comfort, Santa Fe, Explorer, and Regency. See us now, Racecoman GMC truck, for the vacation and custom truck of your choice. Just 1/2 mile north of the Greenwood Park Mall on US 31 South.
Welcome back to Sportsnuts, everybody. I tell you something, this was a terrible day to try to go fast at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Temperatures on the track at 3:30 today. I heard the squawk from a USAC guy's two-way radio, and they were talking about temperatures of 134 degrees on the track. Now, the air temperature was probably someplace in the low to mid-80s, but the track temperature, 134 degrees this afternoon. So all these teams waited for the sun to go down, at least behind the grandstand there on the main straightaway, before they would even go out and consider attempting to qualify. So that meant all the activity was distilled down in about the last 15 minutes. The track opens at 11 o'clock, and like Paul Page said on our call summary report tonight, live at 6:30, racing fans are the greatest fans in the world because they sat there and baked all day just to watch 15 minutes of racing. Well, let's show you the one guy, though, who had the shot to go out and do it today and did stick his car in the field. Scott Goodyear started the day on the bubble. His time was 2:20.7. And Marco Greco went out. He was the first guy to go out, did a very nice job in a 93 Lola with Ford power. This is the Arciero Project Indy team, entered by Dick Simon. Greco is a rookie at Indy. 221.216 was his 4-lap average. Greco sticks his car in the field and bumps Scott Goodyear.
Now you're in the race. You have to be pleased with this position. You gave that car a marvelous run.
Well, thank you. I think all the crew did a great job. We did the best we could. You know, Dick Simon together with Arciero, they put the car together in the last 2 days to make it run for me, to fulfill his obligations. So it was really great for me.
There he is, Marco Greco in the field. Now, Mark Smith went out at about 12 till 6 in that number 15 car and smacked the wall hard in turn 1. And, you know, I thought the guys did a tremendous job getting the track cleaned up so that Gary Bettenhausen and eventually Willie T. Ribbs could at least make qualifying attempts. But he gets way high, way out of the groove, smacks the wall there in 1. He's okay, but goes without saying, his qualifying attempt ended right there. And a lot of people thought at that time that the day might be done, that no other qualifying attempts would be made. However, Gary Bettenhausen was waiting in line. The USAC guys got the track cleaned up. And after Mark Smith and the remains of that car were cleared off the track, then Gary B had a chance, and it wasn't to be for Gary Bettenhausen racing this year for his brother Tony, but still a very emotional day and a great effort just to get back out and try to qualify, because Gary had his own problems in turn 2 yesterday, and his crew basically had to put that car back together overnight so he could even get out and try to qualify today. When he did, it was the absolute 11th hour. Kent Tomash was with him and has the story.
As darkness began to fall over Gasoline Alley last night, the Bettenhausen Motorsports team was looking for the light at the end of the tunnel.
The evening and the morning goes on. It starts getting a little funny. Really it does, but all the guys worked real hard.
They had to, after Gary Bettenhausen crashed in practice yesterday, doing heavy rear-end damage to car 61. His crew pulled an all-nighter to get it ready for today. For Gary B., it was all too familiar.
Last year, I even, on the first day of qualifying, spun in the same spot, knocked the right rear off of it, and came back and qualified the second day faster than I'd been practicing up till that time.
So maybe it's a good omen.
Well, I hope so.
And just over 24 hours after the crash, car 61 was back in business. Not quite as good as new, but good enough, and a small triumph nonetheless.
Yeah, it is. The real triumph hopefully will come at about 10 minutes to 6 this afternoon.
But at 10 minutes to 6, Gary B. was sitting in line when Mark Smith hit the wall. Maybe that chance would never come.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought, well, one break after another, you know, one bad break.
The track went green with 9 minutes left, but Gary B.'s crew was blue when the car could not break 219 and waved off after 2 laps.
I spun yesterday, hit the wall. They worked all night long, got the thing back together about noon today. But the racetrack was so hot, it was no sense of going out and trying to set the chassis when it was 90 degrees. So we waited until about 4 o'clock this afternoon, and we just